Hello and welcome to the third episode of our podcast, and this time we're talking about conspiracy theories. And as usual, your host, myself and Kay. And I have a little bit of an announcement to make, and you guys have been really helpful in growing our channel gradually and slowly, and that's, all the credit goes to you guys. So amazing work, and thank you very much. All the likes and reshares and subscriptions do come in handy very much. And please keep that up and keep resharing. That helps us grow quite a bit. So to help that, I have launched an Amazon store, an Amazon merch store, where my wife has done some graphical work on piece of paper, and then I converted that into a vector format and put that on the t-shirts. And again, that helps us with the marketing side of this channel. 100% of the proceeds will go into improving the channel. So if you can help with that as well, that would be amazing. And if you can reshare that with your friends and show it to your friends, if anyone maybe likes that kind of themed t-shirts that you know of, please do share it with them. And yeah, so again, thank you very much for your help. I will roll the intro and then we'll go into the podcast right away. Stay tuned. Hello, and we are live. How you doing, Kay? You alright?
We're back. The weekly podcast, the weekly episode. Let's go.
I know, right? So, welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. Today we are going to be talking about social media. No, that was last week. No, we're going to be talking about conspiracy theories. We named it conspiracy theories, but what we're going to talk about is any theory, really. We'll start off with how life started and all that, and then see where it leads. So, yeah, as usual, I'm Lazar, and we have Kay, my co-host, and yeah, we'll kind of get cracking. So, how was your day, Kay? You alright?
My day's been good. Week's been alright. It's been quite a hectic one. Sometimes they get stronger and then they get alright. But no, this week's been a little bit. It's taken its toll. But we're good to go. I'm looking forward to this, man. I look forward to this every week, actually. Now,
yeah, it's good. I mean,
I'm excited.
If anything, it's good to catch up with you and just talk about anything we want and relax and kind of shed all the negativity and busyness and stress of the week and then just relax, have a beer, cheers, exactly. and yeah,
cheers, brother. Cheers to you as well, man.
All right.
If anyone's watching, grab a drink. Get comfortable. Let's go. Get involved in the conversation as well. If you got social media, share it as well with your friends. If you're enjoying it, we'd really appreciate the support, guys. So yeah, let's get cracking. What do you want to start off with? Go on.
Right. So what do you think? How did the life, how did life begin and where it all started? Do you think that there was a guy up there, long beard, and watching everyone over everyone and telling everyone what's good, what's bad, and then punishing people and rewarding them? Or there is some alien who came in, a group of aliens maybe, who are advanced and then started a seed, like the Prometheus, the movie. I don't know if you've seen it. And started the life here, or do you think everything was just a big massive accident?
You know what? That's
a big question.
That's a big way to start, right? I mean, how do you even answer this? But I'll give it my best shot. So, for me, I think the best thing to take into consideration here is the fact that it can be a series of all three. It can be like from all of them. You can take bits and bobs from all of them, because as I've grown up, the theories have changed.
Yeah.
So now it's like, obviously, you just mentioned Prometheus, which is obviously correct. And then that gets you thinking, it's like, whoa, hold on, they could be onto something here, because we're moving in a direction where our intelligence is leading us to become more of creators. And ideally, going in the direction of AI, you're creating a completely separate being. It doesn't mean it's conscious or it's alive, but well, that's going to be up for debate in the future. And then you've got the religious aspect, which is obviously, God made everything in 7 days, and then, took a break on a Sunday. And then you've got, like you mentioned, you've got the Big Bang, and to be honest, I think the Big Bang is the definition of, science, making it a logical understanding of how we see where it all started.
Yeah.
And then you've got the religious aspect, which without obviously being offensive to anybody, because this is not the case, but you've got a situation where you've got where did it all begin? Like, there's too much power in the way things have been formed in order for us not to have something that set it off. So you still got the Big Bang, but then you ask,
I think we're losing Kay. The big brother is watching. Kay, we're losing connection with you. Kay, hello. Oh, there we go. You're back now.
That's my brother. That's my brother. Yeah.
The big brother is watching, mate. The disrupting your internet.
Well, he's a younger brother right now. He's the younger brother. He's taking an example of me being a role model.
Yeah. Could you just go through your last sentence as well, because we didn't hear it. It was
Which
cutting
one?
off.
Which part was it?
So whatever you just said in the last minute, we didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. So, like I said, you've got the Big Bang, but something set that off again. So, for people to comprehend and understand what takes place, there has to be something even more powerful to set something that enormous off. That significantly heavenly off. So the theories, they all go with each other. But in the end, it comes down to what your strongest belief is and where you go in that direction. What about yourself? What's your take on it?
Well, mine is a bit complicated. And
what more complicated? The Big Bang?
No, I think the Big Bang is the easiest one. No, it's just you just put everything to an accident or something, some stars aligning and then causing a massive explosion. That's the easiest one. Some religious guy at some point said something to prove his point that the religion is obviously the cause for everything, for all life. But he had some kind of logic behind it. So I took the logic part of it and left the rest. So what he was saying is that imagine there is a desert, there's nothing there, it's just sand and wind and something, something like that. Imagine you're in the middle of a Mexican desert, for example. So you're there, and then you're kind of sitting there looking at horizon, and then suddenly there is a big swoosh of thunder and wind is making a massive commotion, and it extracts all the metal from the earth and makes it, polishes it, and then rearranges all the metals together and puts them in a way that it looks like a brand new Cadillac with a key in the ignition and full of petrol and ready to roll. So pretty much what people are saying is, how it all happened as accidentally is that what I just said has higher probability of happening than the Big Bang, in my mind.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The analogy is behind it. Yeah,
exactly. So if that's very unlikely to happen, then most likely then Big Bang didn't really happen to me as well, right? So let me move the chat slightly to the left because it's on. I'll leave it there. Anyway, so thanks, Sosa93. Welcome to the chat. So no, what I was saying is that if that's unlikely to happen, then most likely then Big Bang didn't happen as well. But it might have happened, but not because the one star collided with another, and then of course some other stars collide to each other, and then or like it Big Bang appeared. Big Bang, basically what they say is that there was a massive explosion out of nothing. So and out of nothing something appeared, and so I kind of take that hard to believe. So I did a lot of kind of my own research and looked into that. Went one way and then went the other way, went to religion and came out of it, and then went back, and then went completely the opposite side of it, and I looked at some conspiracy theories about what the meaning of life and all that, and so I kind of settled roughly in the middle of it all. I don't think it was an accident. I think it was some kind of a conscience in life creation, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a god or or anything like that. What I think is that it could be an alien, it could be an energy, it could be anything else, but there's something conscious that has to happen to start life, not necessarily control it in a way that you would understand in religion, but to start it off, like to plant a seed and then watch it to grow. And I think, you know, if you think about it, you know, how big the universe is, it's, you know, even the scientists don't, you know, they don't say that it's not possible. They say that it is highly likely possible, or it's like it's a fact almost that there will be another conscious life out there.
You know, on that point, I think, you know, the video that we were gonna load earlier, we had this video for you guys that we wanted to load, basically about flat earthers versus scientists. But there was a little clip that we wanted. We'll try and play it next week when you guys tune in. But basically, even the scientists are saying, at some extent, they're saying there was a trigger for all of this. You know, we can understand the scientific approach where, okay, one thing led to another scientifically and mathematically and logically.
Yeah.
But then you've got on the flip side, they're still asking the same questions, which is basically, where did this all start? And like you said, something conscious has to have taken place in order for this to get the ball rolling in that momentum, you know. So sorry, I just wanted to make a point on that, because even scientists are starting to go down a direction where, okay, we've proved how things move on and how things work, but we still don't know where the source is, and that leads people to believe, okay, there has to be a being of some kind that's of higher power.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, I tend to kind of agree with the most logical explanation to everything. So if there isn't a logical explanation, or the simplest explanation rather than logical, I tend to go with the simplest explanation, which usually tends to be true, or closest to the reality. So, okay, so life started. So let me backtrack a bit. The reason why I say that, you know, there might be some another being, another, you know, conscious life or whatever, starting off life on Earth, and why do I think that? Because look, if I was a conscious being and I have advanced to a certain degree that I can travel between stars, or, you know, between galaxies and stuff. If I have that kind of technology, then, you know, why would I not want to kind of do experiments? Because we do experiment, we do watch zoology, like, for example, or any kind of, you know, we watch how chimpanzees evolve, or how different animals, down to all, you know, insects, you know, how what kind of social lives do they have. So we watch that with curiosity of how that actually plans out, right? So why would you, it's very unlikely for somebody who, you know, out there watching us thinking, oh, look at these guys, so they've evolved from, let's say, you know, Neanderthals or monkeys or whatever, that they've evolved to such a degree that they have nuclear weapons now. It's quite interesting. Let's watch them, let's carry on, you know, our research and stuff. And I'm not going into the abduction, all that stuff. I'm probing them. No, I don't mean that. I mean more like, you know, kind of researching by, you know, standing out and then looking into it. And then so that's what I was thinking. And then I think last 3 to 4 years I started thinking that I actually are visiting now, and no, I think that because there's
keep
been
keep going, man, keep going, definitely keep going. I'm enjoying this, man. Go ahead.
There has been, you know, look, it's very easy for people to just say, like, oh, look at this lunatic again, right? He's one of those, you know, nut jobs who's talking about aliens coming into Earth. And,
tinfoil hats.
Yeah, tinfoil hats. No,
next time you come next week, wear a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, it's very easy to kind of come to the judgment. And I will like, look, if some guy is just out there and just shouting, look, the near is the end is near, and like with the homeless looking guy and shouting, you know, I was abducted by aliens and they probed me, you know, from the backside, and, you know, they left me in the middle of the different continent, you know, you would think that, okay, that's a lunatic. What I'm saying is, so which way, why do I think some of the stories might be true? I don't mean those stories. I mean the stories that for example, RAF pilots, or the admirals on the military ships, they've actually openly said that they've seen stuff that doesn't make sense, and the way that these things are flying about, we don't have that kind of technology, right? So even if you think that that might be something that the governments have created, but then they didn't let us know, and they're just testing that. No, it's those things that the way they're moving, it's not possible to achieve with the conditions that Earth has for us. If that makes sense, the gravity and all that. It's not possible to do that.
We don't have the technology or the engineering to create them kind of moving objects in those ways. Look, I think since we've moved into the second conspiracy now, which is aliens, basically. You use the OD footage says RBT 1889.
Yeah, we'll have a look. Keep going. I'll put that on.
Yeah, definitely. So we've moved into aliens now, and in the sense of, do they exist? Are they here? Are they with us? Are they not with us? But the truth of the matter is, it's very difficult. If we were talking about logic again, and we would just step away from, conspiracy theories or what people believe for a second, it's very difficult to comprehend the fact that this whole universe, and let's call it existence in its outright, that it's all there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's hard to convince me that there is nobody else out there. I mean, we just don't know. But the probability of other life existing when there's so much going on in terms of other galaxies and universes and all of this, planets and stars and whatever it is, it's difficult to try and comprehend that there isn't another life form out there. Have they got closer to us? Have they approached us? I don't know. I think the time is starting to show that we're getting closer to that. And you know what I believe that we attract it. We've been thinking about this for so long, whether aliens exist or not.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. If the aliens are actually there, and they were just watching us, not necessarily maybe from the planet next to us or whatever, maybe from the next galaxy, and the moment we have a power of destroying planets, by that I mean nuclear weapons, don't you think they might be interested in how these monkeys became so powerful that they actually can destroy themselves and potentially other planets, and potentially disrupting the flow of the universe? If Earth becomes, if it explodes, it will have a massive effect, obviously, to other planets and then to the sun, etc., right? So obviously they would have an interest. I mean, if North Korea has a couple of more rockets, the US are already on their doorstep saying, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? I mean, similarly, they might have an interest.
Do you know what just on that one very quickly, you know what the Korean president said? You know what he said? Well, dictator, more like, he said, when they were talking about the nuclear arms treaty and they were trying to get them to drop it, and I think it was Trump that was there or something. I can't remember how it went, but it went something like this: that they asked, is it Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-in?
Kim Jong-in, I think now. Im on Un or something like that, one of those, yeah.
There's a lot of them. They're very confusing in that family line.
There are a lot of ins and outs.
Yeah. Definitely. So basically, bro, they said to them, look, why don't you want to let go of your nuclear weapons? He goes, look, because the only reason you haven't invaded us yet is because we've got nuclear weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we don't have as many as you, but we've got enough to protect ourselves. So,
yeah, I mean, look what happened to Gaddafi. I mean, look what happened to Gaddafi. Look, they were best friends with the US with again very quickly, and then we'll watch the video. The US basically told Gaddafi, "Hey, mate, very politely, hey, look, I mean, we're really getting a lot of bollocking here. Can you please get rid of your nuclear weapons? What we'll do is we'll lift all the sanctions, and we'll actually help you with your economy. We'll start investing and attract global investments and all that. We're gonna really help you. The only thing that's holding us from doing that is your weapons. Can you get rid of them so that we can start negotiations?" He did that. What happened? Less than a year they bloody invaded him. Less than a year.
Yeah, he should have been like, no, brother, I cannot do this. This is for my protection only.
So after that happens, do you think North Korea will fall for that? Hey, North Korea, we're gonna lift all the sanctions. We're gonna help you grow and become, come out of the third world country and become one of the leading ones. Look at China, for example. And the only thing that's holding you is the nuclear weapons. Can you please remove them? And they're looking at Gaddafi and then looking at their face, looking at Gaddafi, looking at their face, get the fuck out of here. However bad they are, but they have a point, United States doesn't have any moral high ground there.
Yeah, he's not with us anymore.
I have seen this footage. So basically, what this is this is the footage that Pentagon has released themselves, saying that this is that they have a new word for it. They don't say UFO anymore. They have something else I can't remember, but anyway, so it's basically a UFO. They've actually stated themselves that this is like, we don't know what that is, and the way that it's moving, we have no idea how it operates, and they have released it themselves. I think they had to release it after the pilot who shot it has spoken out. So what it is you can see
so they had to release the information regardless.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a very high paced, like it's moving really quickly, and its shape, you can see, like, it's a conical shape. They call it a tic-tac shape.
It definitely doesn't look normal.
Yeah, they call it a tic-tac shape. And what's shooting
Could it
is
just be a fly on the camera, man?
Well, okay, let's you can see the clouds, right? And look how it's turning. The plane is going so fast. The plane is going so fast that look at the way it is moving. So it's locking on now to it. As soon as it locks on, it's the weapon targeting system. Okay, it's locked on now, and it's going so fast, and like it showed earlier, it just stops on its trajectory and just goes the complete opposite way without losing any speed. It's just not possible to do on Earth with our current technology. Oh, if anyone is interested in this kind of stuff, not the bullshit that, you know, people with tinfoil hats say, but more like, you know, this kind of people who've been flying a plane, like a military plane, all their life. You know, people who are like admirals or like very reliable people, scientists, rocket science scientists. Go and watch what is it called? One second. There's a show on Netflix. On Netflix, it's called Area 51 and Flying Saucers.
Video, I have to admit, it is quite a questionable video, like in terms of what on earth is that? Not obviously.
Yeah. So it's on Netflix and it's called Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. So I'm just gonna bring it up here. It's basically this. It's very. It will make you think a lot about what's going on these days, especially about aliens and, you know, how intelligent they are. So basically, it's about this guy called Bob Lazar, and I'll kind of give you a quick overview of what the show is about. Let me just bring out the cameras back. Okay. And 1 second, guys.
He's an American conspiracy theory.
No,
correct?
no. He's a rocket scientist, basically.
Oh, okay. So I don't know who this guy is.
All right.
There's another one.
All sorted. All sorted. So, let me clear some chats. There's some spam going on. People want to be famous. Clear chat. Okay. So.
Let's be famous.
Basically, Bob is like from his young age, he was interested in rocket propelled things, and he would build things. Like he would attach a rocket engine to his bike, and then, you know, ride that. And yeah, he's a physicist. He's a physicist, but he mainly concentrates on engines, and you know, if that makes sense. So he's basically the world expert on engines. And long story short, so he obviously was a, you know, he taught lectures, and, you know, he graduated universities and all that. Obviously he's an educated guy, and then he gets hired by the government, and they say, okay, you know, all we need is it's classified. What we need you to do is just come and just have a look at this engine, and then just try to reverse engineer it, meaning take it apart and then build it from scratch again, apart, right? Yeah. So that we know how it works. And so he goes there, and then they show him pictures and stuff, and then he kind of goes, that's very interesting, you know, and then he starts to realize, obviously, it's something not really safe to discuss outside, and then they, you know, will take him through a lot of top secret, you know, conversations that you shouldn't be talking about that, blah blah blah. Anyway, he says that he was actually given, like, they had a couple of flying objects, the unknown alien ships, and one of them
UFOs.
And well, not UFO, because he already knows that they're alien, because there's none. This can't happen on Earth, right? So these are objects or flying ships from aliens. So he goes in there,
Okay.
and this is happening after he finished working there, right? He's talking about that, and yeah, he kind of says a lot of stuff like there are no doors there, like he does like hollow objects that you go through, and they're built for like child height people. And no, but it's serious. Like it sounds funny. Like I said, it's very easy to
It
kind
sounds
of
crazy, right?
You
It
just
sounds
watch the
mental.
watch the documentary. It's very interesting.
I'll definitely check it out.
And what he says is basically there's an engine that doesn't care about the gravity, so it has its own gravitational pull. And we know only one thing that has a gravitational pull. Its own gravitational pull is Earth, right? But that engine has a gravitational pull of itself. And so they kind of do research and stuff like that, and then he goes out of it, and then he kind of starts fearing for his life, and he decides to go on the news and tell about that, and then they kind of prosecute him, and like they get rid of all of his records, his university records.
Your sound started cutting out, I think.
Okay. It's okay on the stream. Anyway, so basically they get rid of all of his records. He becomes no one. They get rid of his birth certificate, where he studied, and that doesn't happen. Like they go to the university and they say like, did he teach here? And they had whoever, like the big person in the university says no, I've never heard of that person. We don't have anyone with that kind of name in our records. But then they have a picture of him as one of the lecturers on when you go inside the university, you have the pictures of the lecturers, right, of the professors. And they have a picture of him there.
Full of fame.
yeah, and then he says like, this is ridiculous, like these guys are saying that they don't have a record of him, but they have my picture still on there because they forgot to remove that. They got rid of the archives, but then my picture is still there. And
you know what? Here's a question. I think in relation to all of this, in the way the guy's talking, and then all of a sudden, he doesn't exist. What would be the sole reason to not make it official and tell people about it? Okay, the technologies and so on, and if it gets into the wrong hands, I understand all of that, but if there is something out there, I think we are entitled to know, so we can protect ourselves in some way, shape, or form. At least that way, if they release it out to the public, there'll be engineers look at it and maybe crack it, man. Like
I think we're getting there. I think that like I said, like excuse me, those footages were released by Pentagon and like official sources saying that actually there is something, and I think they're releasing that slowly, and they realize that they can't really hide this kind of stuff forever, because credible sources are actually talking about that, not just the nut jobs who thinks that they were abducted. And again, on abduction, there's another documentary, and it's not like what they say, but it's more like people get abducted and they kind of lose all their memory and stuff like that, and they actually do research. But anyway, and they're credible people as well, and this happens to the whole town. So if you say like, just one guy, yeah. There's I'll try and find it and put it on the description. But the whole, like, at least half of the town gets abducted in one go, and they all see exactly the same thing. And if you think like, okay, it's just one guy or two guys, got together, and it's like, yeah, let's just become famous, like those guys who did the crop circles. Let's just get famous, let's just make something up. Then okay, it's just a couple of guys, right? But this whole town experienced the exact same thing, and and it's crazy. But either that or the government abducted them for other reason, and then made it look like alien.
For their own probing.
Yeah, no, who knows? Yeah, probably. But that happened.
Imagine
and
them lot.
Yeah.
Imagine that town would, if I mean, I don't know, I have to watch the documentary. I'm guessing they got returned at some point. Imagine the conversations, if they have any memory or recollection. So what was that for you like then? Did they
no,
do
they
the whole probing business?
Yeah. No, as far as I know, they didn't have any recollection. It's the people who are like a whole family was in the same car, and then two people got disappeared, like got like, they just in a split second they just got removed from the car. And then white flash happens again, and then they appear in the car again. They say, "Hey, where did you go? Like, what happened? I was always here, and nothing happened to me, right?" So they don't know what happened, but then people outside of see that they were gone. And similar
that
stuff.
Is absolutely nuts. That's so crazy.
Yeah. So like the footage I showed, basically, there was another one from like Navy and stuff like that. Even the UK Navy.
I saw that one. I think I saw that one, Daily Mail or something.
Yeah, and then basically they're saying that, look, I've been flying, or I've been sailing for like 40 years. I've never seen anything like that in my life, and like those pilots who were flying that object, they actually went and chased it, right? They chased it. They locked onto it. They chased it, and
Brits, man, they can't keep.
No, they were American. I think those guys were American.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the UK Navy right now.
No. Yeah, UK Navy said the same thing. Like, they had similar experiences, but that specific object was American.
Chased it.
Yeah. So they chased it, and yeah. So they said that like the way it moves, and those pictures correspond to what Bob Lazar was saying as well, and how that whole ship moves as well. Okay. So like you would imagine a flying saucer, right? So the most commonly accepted shape of it, like it's a disc with a little blob on top, and then the conical bottom. So, and you would think that it moves like this way, like forward. Yeah. So it's a disc with a little blob, and it moves this way. Actually, apparently they don't. What they do is they go up to to a certain altitude, they turn to a belly like that, and then move like that. So and if you saw that on that object as well, the thing just stopped, turned to its belly, and then started moving like that. And he said that before this footage even was released. And then a second reason why a lot of people think that he's actually credible is that when he was working there, I think that was like early 70s, 60s, something like that. They had this biometrical equipment for them to go inside the zone to do the research, and that was like when you put your hand, there's loads of pins there, and then it checks the length of your bones on your fingers, and basically knows who you are.
Okay, all right. So that's how it's like a scanner.
Yeah, exactly. And he said that at that time that there was no technology was released like that. So, and everyone thought, oh, that's bullshit. Actually, there was a picture that they released it from another base. It's a military base, not a secret alien base. Military base where they've used that, and then he was like, "Oh my god, this is exactly the way I described it." If you look at if you look at the video of him describing that, it's exactly the same thing.
The documentary, are there clips of the actual machine or whatever?
No, he draws on it. Obviously, it's a secret place. Like, you can't go and start taking pictures. He draws stuff and he explains stuff, and you know what? The way he explains stuff and how he talks about it, he doesn't really want to, because he gives them quite a lot of anxiety, because he suffered a lot as well from persecution and stuff like that.
That must be quite stressful.
Yeah, not just the government, like people saying that like you are crazy and stuff like that. So. Like he didn't want to talk about this at all, and then the documentary makers forced him almost to talk about this. So that's another thing. If somebody wants to get famous about that, they would just be gladly talk about it, and like they'll jump on the first opportunity, right? He rejected a few times. He didn't. I don't want to talk about this. I kind of went through that once in my life, and I don't want to kind of go through it again. Don't talk to me about this. I don't want to talk about it. It gives me headaches. And they almost force him.
You know what? On that, this is the thing. Like, when do we start really drawing the line between a conspiracy theory and there's so much evidence behind it? Especially credible people talking, and then we draw the line between the fact that where we turn them into crazy people. Because this is an intelligent human being that we're doing this to.
Exactly.
Instead of us progressing in the sense of, okay, look, we have this technology, we found out how it works, and really pushing the envelope of how far we can go, we're so far behind in that aspect. We're still trying to shun people and call them crazy for the fact of they're going in trying to say, look, this is beneficial to the whole world, we all need to know about this. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, even the whole Illuminati stuff, that's another one. I mean, again, you can go down the direction of how much evidence there is to be behind it and whatnot, and then you go and flip it on the other side, and it's like it kind of makes a lot of sense, because
I mean,
the elite are the elite for a reason.
Well, they're not elite. I mean, look, the different things. So there were different sects, not or clubs that you would call them. They're not elites who control the world, Illuminati and all that. That's all bullshit that they control the world and all that. There's only There's only like 3 or 4 people who control the world, and we know who they are. Your Rupert Murdochs and Jeff Bezoses, and whoever is the president of the United States and stuff like that, like China's president or whatever. So we know who they are, and we know that they control the world. So it's not really crazy to think about that. Illuminati, like stonemasons, skulls and bones. Look, they're all bullshit. I mean, look, there were sects where bunch of middle-aged men. Well, originally they started for a purpose. Like stonemasons were people who actually built things, right? Like cathedrals.
Well, that's their terminology. They're actually stonemasons.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a reason why they started, and like I think Skulls and Bones started as a philosophy discussion thing, which turned into a sect, and basically it's
I think the stonemasons one, that I think, if I remember correctly when I read up about it, I think it was because they were actually stonemasons that were doing all this beautiful work in masonry, and they were getting treated like crap. I think it was, in that sense.
Yeah.
They weren't,
prosecuted,
like
basically,
slave labor today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they kind of put together a union where they
united.
took themselves out of, they united, and they took themselves out of that control where they get told what to do all the time, and they obviously became the Freemasons. So that's where the name picked up. But then obviously the conspiracies moving forward, that's when it starts coming in, and then you've got the different, where the money came from, how they gained their power. I don't know.
Yeah, and then you get all those crazy guys on YouTube talking to you about what the eyeball on the $1 bill means, and the pyramid and all that shit. Yeah, with a distorted dramatic voice, and
Yeah, but you know what? There was a while where that whole triangle was becoming very popular, especially in R&B, hip hop, pop culture, all of this kind of stuff. A lot of people are doing it, man, and it does make you, to be honest, it does make you question certain things. You can't not go, okay, well, how come there's a massive growth in this right now? There's a massive boom behind it,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who do that. And it kind of evolved from these conspiracy theories to real world situations, and we've kind of covered it off on our second podcast where we talked about like fake news and shit. So it kind of moved on to fake news. So the way all of that works is, including like those videos about $1 bill and what every thing means in the bill. What you do is you have an agenda, or you have an end result, right? So I need to get to 5. How do I get to 5? Oh, I'm gonna get 2, I'm gonna get another 2, and I'm gonna add 1 on top of it, and I'm gonna get to 5, right? Oh, I'm gonna get 1, and I'm gonna get 1, I'm gonna get 1, and I'm gonna get like there are multiple ways of getting there, and the fact is it's still a $1 bill. There doesn't have to be a meaning behind it, but people will get to the truth in a way that like they'll find their own agenda to get to the same result. Yeah, exactly. So with the fake news, exactly the same thing. Like, look, oh, explosion happened there. Oh, how did it happen? Then they build towards the result rather than getting the result and treating it as that. If that makes sense. But
can I tell you something about conspiracy theories? Can I tell you something about it? Let me tell you something about it very quickly. They played a huge part in my journey towards needing to understand more about a lot of things that I didn't understand. So when I first started reading about conspiracy theories and watching up and all of this kind of stuff, they completely caught my attention, because it's a whole new perspective in life, right?
Yeah.
But the more you walk into those kind of okay, what more can I find out? What more conspiracies are there? What more this? What's going on here? What's going on there? The more you go into that, the more you start wanting to find out more about other things. So it takes you on this like kind of route that is not even expected without you even realizing. And a lot of people that I've spoken to, where they start going on this kind of journey where they're trying to be a little bit more awakened, they started off with conspiracy theories because there's so much talk about so many things that you don't know what to believe, that you want to go digging up about it more. You want to go find out more yourself, and the more you go into it, the more it kind of starts taking you into different tangents and different things to experience, and you have no idea where you're going. And in the end, you're like, where the fuck do I go? What do I do? But then, as you start finding a little bit more about yourself, who you really want to be, and then it brings you back down to your kind of normal state. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, like I said earlier, it takes conspiracy theories and religion, and some people might say that both the same thing, but and your own experiences put together, you kind of come to a conclusion, an educated conclusion that makes sense to you, right? When I say educated conclusion, that doesn't mean that you're an educated person, or it's an educated conclusion because you've done research about that and you educated yourself about the specific subject, and that makes sense to you. It's the same way. Like, I mean, with conspiracy theories, by the way.
Wait, where's your pipe, by the way? Are you not bringing out the pipe today? Or
No,
what's
mate,
going
like
on?
my wife is at home these days and she's pregnant, so I can't really use it because,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. That makes sense.
the first time it was
Okay.
fine because she was out, seeing a friend and stuff. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was like, has he dropped the pipe?
second, yeah. What do you think about the theory where they say that like let me have a look at this first before I say something. When did
Gotta be a little bit careful, in case something slips out. Our reputations are on the line here.
I mean, look, the I know what, like, it doesn't matter. It's giving some random results. So, and the civilization as you know it, it kind of civilization as you know it kind of started about 2,500 years ago, right? And that's when we kind of that's when we kind of moved from hunter-gatherers towards more of, agricultural, and start like kind of thinking about.
Isn't it more than? I think it was over 10,000 years. I think it was about 10,000 years, man.
Really?
Yeah. Because 2,500 years, the Egyptians were about 5,000 years ago. They were still about. So the Egyptians are 5,000.
That's why I wanted
so
to check about this.
I think it was 10,000 where we started turning into like agricultural human beings, where we settled. We weren't nomadic. I think it's 10,000.
Sorry. Early civilizations developed between 4,000 to 3,000 BCE, when the rise of agriculture and trade allowed people to have surplus of food. And
so in the middle, kind of.
yeah, so 3,000. Okay, 3,000 between yours and mine. So like roughly around that time, they say it's roughly about 3,000 years ago where civilization started happening, when people start dropping the bows and arrows and spears and start kind of planting seeds and growing food and building houses, and then before you know it, the bronze and stone, like from Stone Age, like Bronze Age and whatever, they want metals. They start using metals for cooking and stuff like that. So
obviously, and the development, the evolving of the human.
Exactly. So put it all together, it's about 3,000 years ago. They said that okay, that's when we started to become to start going on the route that we're right now. And then some scientists, some archaeologists found some areas on the planet which kind of contradicts that, and puts the civilization start and end and start again. I'll explain to you what I mean. Way before that. So they found a place called Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. So
in Turkey, yeah. Is it the ones where they have like the caves dug out and stuff? Is it something similar?
Yeah, it's more like a monolithic structures.
That's the one.
Yeah. So what they say is that and they have some kind of evidence for it as well, and you can see the evidence as well. So there were massive floods. But when I say massive, not like the type that you would think, like that happened, that tsunami that happened in Japan, like that was massive, right? Or in Philippines. No, this is more like it was on a scale that like you can't even imagine. It's like thousands of. No. Literally, it's like a 1,000-meter wave. Imagine that. It's massive. It literally, and they have evidence for that because you can see the ripples on the massive deserts, especially in US. When little stream goes down a hill, stream of water that goes down the hill, you will get these ripples on the thing on below that, on the sand or clay or earth or whatever. And they see those massive, like, what is it, 500-meter ripples on the desert. Like, what the fuck? To do that, obviously the water had to be a lot much higher than that. And they said that what happened was, like, they think that civilizations they existed before we think they started, And what happened was, like, there were some pockets of civilizations here and there, and they have evolved to the point where they could build massive structures from stones. And because why I brought up go back to Tepe is because that time, so the time that when those structures were erected was when people were still hunters and gatherers. They didn't have any tools to build those monolithic structures, which required them to travel thousands of miles away, drag them in, cut them, and put them in place, like, for example, Stone Age. There was no technology to do that. So the only logical explanation how that happened is that either there were a group of people who survived those floods, that civilizations who I don't know, went on a raft and then went to, like, landed on land, and then saw some people who were hunter-gatherers, and then taught them how to live, and then taught them how to, like, do, like, things like that, if that makes sense. It basically evolved them more. Or they say aliens or whatever, but I think the former is more logical. Is that there's some truth to it, and you guys can go and have a look as well. There's I think it's on Joe Rogan, Hancock. I remember his surname, Hancock.
Find it. Yeah, maybe put it in the chat or something.
Hancock, but.
Are you watching the new Joe Rogan podcast? I don't like the new one.
It's okay.
He's got all the red going on inside, and RBT 1889 says Graham.
Yeah, I just found out. Graham Hancock. And he basically.
Thank you, RBT.
Yeah, he basically goes into to debates about this as well. So yeah, he claims that, you know, there was civilizations, pockets of them at least, you know, they were highly evolved and they knew what they were doing, existed, and then they moved, expanded and moved around, and then taught other kind of people around them. And then what happened was there was a massive flood, cataclysmic flood, and there is evidence for that. You know, the ice caps melting, whatever, or the meteor hitting the Earth, and causing these floods. Regardless, there was a massive flood, cataclysmic flood, where people were almost killed to the brink of extinction, and some people have survived, and the people who obviously were evolved enough to know that the knowledge was obviously in their head, some of them might have remained alive, and they found other people, because obviously the flood and the flood happens, and then they go on rafts or boats or whatever, ships, and then they float around, and then when it subsides, obviously, then they go to different lands, and then they discover different lands, right? So, and then they teach them, so they want this knowledge to carry on, and then they teach them how to do it. And they start building these monolithic structures. They think that either they had two kind of meanings. One was religious, and the second was more practical. It's kind of to know like more of a calendar, and, you know, the seasons, and when to start, you know, planting crops and.
Okay, all right, yeah.
If that makes sense.
Agriculture cycle.
Exactly. So they kind of left those knowledges, and the second point that he was making was he was actually debating. You know that guy, Egyptian guy. He's the head of the archaeology in Egypt. This forgot his name. It's just one guy always comes up.
I know who he is. He's got a proper strong Egyptian accent. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's him. I don't remember his name. So anything to do with ancient Egypt, any documentary that has ancient Egypt, he's always there. And
he's in it.
Yeah. So he goes on a debate with that guy, and I actually saw a video of him, and, you know, he kind of explains, like, look, like the explanations that you give, guys, they kind of make sense, but at the same time they don't. So, for example, if you take the Sphinx, and everyone knows what the Sphinx is, so. You know, the way its face is eroded, like, and the headwear, you know, the Egyptian headwear, like I don't know the name again. Don't crucify me.
Yes, the
headwear, and it doesn't have the nose, and some part of the cheek is gone, and the headwear is, you know, eroded. And I think Egyptians, the archaeologists, they said that happened, obviously, you know, 1,000, like, you know, years, whatever. Since the time they've erected that structure, but it was saying that no, it actually takes thousands and thousands and thousands of years, at least 4 to 5,000 years for that to happen, and the only way that it happens is from rain. and that means that the area that you have Sphinx at the moment used to have
Zahi Hawass, yes, that's the one. Faces of Egyptian archaeology.
you used to have different completely different environment, meaning it was rainy and foggy and humid.
Yep.
Unlikely, because obviously you can't construct sand structures like that, or a massive cataclysmic event that lasted for hundreds of hundreds of years, or a few hundred years, where it constantly rained. It never stopped.
It never stopped raining.
Yeah. So he said, like, when meteorite hits Earth, it evaporated a lot of water and moisture to the atmosphere, and then that kind of started making it rain constantly and never stopped, and which caused massive flooding as well in its turn, right? So he kind of brings this up, and what happened was the Zahi Hawass, he literally tells him, oh, like, you people come to this country, you don't respect us, and like he basically forces him to, like, he storms off, and then like, he has his people who kiss his ass, like, around him, like, talking to him, and like, this is a big guy, right? You know, and the Graham is sitting there, it's like, hey, you know, I'm happy to talk about this, like, you don't have to storm out and all, you know. It's so crazy, man. It's so funny.
Oh,
but anyway,
what a reaction. That must have been great to watch. It must have been, you bloody people, you bloody, you give some respect to the Egyptian archaeology.
Let me find those pictures that I talked to you about. Yeah, I know.
He's I think the Zahi Hawass guy, he is quite a little, he is full of, not quite a little, he's a lot full of himself. He does consider himself some kind of like genius. You can see by the way he talks. I never really liked him, to be honest. Can we show this guy's image, please, so people know who we're talking about?
Yeah. 1 second, let me just find these lads.
What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a beer called Franziskaner Weissbier. Premium Weissbier or Weissbier? I think it's Weissbier.
It's either you're drunk or you can't pronounce the name.
Well, it's in German, excuse me. From Munich since 1363.
1363, that's old, man.
Yeah, this is the only beer I'm drinking these days. Oh, here we go. I found it.
Oh, okay, show it.
Okay. Move things around, get things done. Show desktop. I'm gonna stop the music and I'm gonna play the audio.
Masses of gravel, trillions of tons of gravel. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start sweeping around as the video plays, and you're going to notice down here a series of ripples.
Oh, okay, I see that.
Okay, and I'm going to have Jamie pause in a second, but let's keep coming around. Do you start seeing the ripples on the landscape? Let's pause right there. Right there, let's pause. Now,
you see that?
I wish I had a pointer, but
yeah.
If you look
just
up,
behind
you
his
camera,
like
a tongue coming out, rounding out. Jamie's
just behind his screen. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, what the big ridges, the huge ridges in the sand.
You see that's caused by like.
That's a delta. That's a delta. You know what a delta is? You ever heard of a delta? It's when a river comes into a body of water.
So what, the erosion? Is he saying the erosion is going to be imprinted, having a huge amount of pressure or power to get it to
so, just to explain the scale of it, so these are the ripples. Can you see the ripples? Like, this is one ripple, third, and then it's going down like this way.
Yep.
Yeah? Can you see the scale of it? These are houses. Just explain to you, like, the scale of it.
I was going to say, what?
This looks like a massive structure here, like a barn or something, or like two or three story house there, and some other story, 2 or 3 story houses next to them. So these are massive. Like, you can see, like, they're hundreds of meters in height. These are just the ripples. So you can imagine how much what's the depth of the water was at the time.
Down and it drops.
Yeah, 100%.
So move it forward a bit.
In front and around.
That's the thing. It's
look at this. Look at this.
This is the whole
Move to the right.
This happens at a scale of.
That's a house. And look at the ripple.
beaches on beaches on a
crazy.
scale of hundreds of feet here.
Stop again.
Mhm.
Look at the ripples. This is 100% the ripple. You can see that, right?
Mhm.
From the way that water moves.
Right here in the middle, you see a massive delta.
Yeah.
Spewed out like a big tongue,
Oh, here,
splayed
yeah.
out. And then right down here, you start
That is
seeing the
insane.
ripples. And there's a farmhouse. You see the
Farmhouse.
farmhouse there?
Mm.
Now, those ripples are the tallest ones. Are
And so
a
what they're
height of
saying
a
is that
five-story building.
this was civilization started 10,000 years before the
No,
actual date. Is that what you were saying?
No, what they say that the civilizations existed before this. Yeah, exactly. And then this massive flood and cataclysmic flood happened and removed the human life almost to the brink of extinction, and there were some pockets of life that survived and kept the knowledge living. That makes sense, yeah. But the main
Yeah,
point
yeah.
is that there was this massive flood, and this is where your Noah's Ark comes about, and the lost city of what was that city that got lost in
Atlantis.
Atlantis and stuff like that. Yeah, because easily these floods can like consume entire cities easily.
Yeah, 100%. I used to be so consumed with Atlantis, man. I was so fixated on it when I was
Yeah.
younger. I was like, it was such an amazing story. When I was younger, I wanted to be an archaeologist. Funny enough, yeah. I really enjoyed history. I enjoyed all of these parts of history.
Yeah.
And obviously, I gave up on that dream, as you can see.
Started a better one.
Yeah, started a better one. And Atlantis used to be, I would love to find Atlantis. I used to have these little sort of adventures on my own kind of thing, like get in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be looking for it, and it magically appears, and it's like, whoa, this guy found like another world, and oh man, it was a great fantasy that definitely not going to be pursuing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Juice.
No, it's good. So,
But here,
yeah.
there
So
are-
what
So
he's saying is,
you're asking, what do I think about all of this?
yeah. I mean,
I'm not surprised.
it's
to be
difficult.
honest,
It's
I'm
difficult to
not-
say like it didn't happen because you can see like, and he's saying that his 5-story, like tallest one is a 5-story tall ripple, like the
That's
hill.
crazy.
5-story house.
mad.
Like what the
That is
hell?
mental.
Yeah, and when you see this on this scale, I mean, nobody like goes on Google Earth and then like starts, and they shot it with a drone. But if you go to Google Earth and look at the desert and stuff, like you can see these happening. And what they said is that most of this actually happened, or like all around the world. If you look at it, they actually happened almost the same time, like to
Yeah,
almost a day
They look
difference.
quite consistent.
Yeah, and yeah, so basically, I read about that, and his name is Graham Hancock. I don't know if you can see him. This guy, Graham Hancock, and
This
he, yeah, he basically is the guy who's talking about this, and yeah, so it's very difficult to think that it didn't happen because there are a lot of structures that we know about. We don't have an explanation how they made it, right?
I'm not to be honest with you. The more technology we develop, the more we're gonna find out. So I'm not surprised. The more science we discover, the more maths we go into, the more our need for adventure and our need to find out more, the more we're gonna find out. Because
Yeah.
everything we found out up until this point, let's say pre-2000s, let's go pre-internet. Let's talk about pre-internet, yeah? Everything we know about pre-internet has only been depending on what technology we had for that era in order to go that far back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now today, we're doing things that are stupid. Like you've got the whole LiDAR business.
It's
Okay, that can
Yeah.
go mapping things. Like there was tomorrow, like the Emperor's tomb, the Emperor of China, the tomb,
Yeah.
the one with the Mercury rivers and is it terracotta army?
Terracotta Army, yeah.
I think terracotta army.
Terracotta Army, yeah.
Oh, are you showing Zahi Hawass? Please show this guy.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
look how
I'll
good
try. Hold on.
This dude.
Let me find
Images,
the picture.
This is the guy, Indiana Jones of Egyptian archaeology. Has he got a whip by any chance? Has he ever carried a whip? Oh, look at that. Pick that one in the middle. Go down. Hold on. 1 second. There's one where he's in the center of the picture and there's four of the people behind him, like a triangular shape.
This one.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Look at this man go.
So basically, he is the head
Look at that.
of the Egyptian archaeology, and if you are a scientist, or anyone who wants to study how science, if you're an archaeologist and if you want to study anything to do with anything in Egypt, if he says no, good luck getting into the country. I mean, to the country, not just the archaeology side.
Yes.
You can't even get inside the country.
Have you seen the title of that picture where it says? I mean, obviously that is Al Rihab in Arabic, but it says in Al Rihab City.
Really? Where is that picture?
Go up a little bit. It was under that same. That same image. Yeah, look underneath it. It says
Al Rihab City.
It says Al Rihab City. And there's another one. If you go to the left, he's wearing a red tie in it. He's wearing a red tie. Next one. Look how evil he looks there, man. This guy cannot be trusted.
Yeah.
You don't want this guy to make a decision on your life.
And he's quite old now, and he sticks to these old notions, these romantic things where
exactly.
pharaohs did this and that, and they got the it's obviously some of the things that he said happened, but he doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to accept any other theory that might be true.
He's a very proud man. It's his ego, right?
Yeah.
That's he's in a position right now where he doesn't like to be questioned because he thinks he knows everything. But like I was saying, the technology right now that we've got is going to prove so many other theories, so many other like archaeological findings that we didn't even know existed. Like I was saying, the terracotta army in China, they found them temple mounds, or I mean, I don't know if they're called temple mounds or not, but they're called they're not temple mounds. They're grave mounds. So they started looking from high up with LiDAR, and they started discovering that, oh wait, hold on, like this is mapping things underground. This is not just a mound of hills. This is actually intentionally built like this for a reason.
Yeah.
So when they go start discovering this kind of stuff, it does take you to a place where you go, all right, so I wonder now what else we can go back and find now that we have this kind of technology, and what else can we map out, and what else can we find. Like one of the reasons I'm telling you this about the LiDAR business is, how we have, like, we talk about shortage of clean water around the world,
yeah,
and they found this using satellite technology, in America. I'm not sure where it is. I think it might be in Florida. I think it might be under Florida or something. But in the States, in USA, bro, there's so much water under one of the states, it's clean water. You have to go a little bit further down. You have to tunnel in a little bit. But it's so clean, it pretty much maps out the whole, is it east side? Florida's on the east side, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole east side of America, if I'm correct. And there's enough water there, water supply to last humans until the end of time. And it's all clean water. And we couldn't discover that until until satellite imagery was looking down on us, Let's have a look. Hawass was defied when protests. I think RBT just wrote something in the chat. Hawass was vilified when protests against President Mubarak erupted in Tahrir Square in 2011 January. Protesters called him the Mubarak of antiquity. And accused him of corruption. Underlings in the antiquities department and jobless and frustrated archaeology graduates besieged his office demanding his ouster and take your hat, they shouted. In April 2011, he was sentenced to a year in jail, stemming from an alleged case of rigged contract bidding at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The verdict was later overturned in July. This was all in 1 year?
Yeah.
In 2011, he didn't have a good 2011.
No.
In 2011, after serving 2 successive post-Mubarak governments, Hawass finally was obliged to give up his job. According to one Egyptian blogger, Hawass was escorted out of the back door of the ministry into a cab, showered with insults and angry chants from young archaeologists, and even captured on video watched by thousands of Egyptians. So yeah, the Arab Spring wasn't kind to this guy, was it?
You might say he started it, right?
Like the Arab winter for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy, what an idiot. See, you could tell, man. Oh, you know what? Yeah, some people, when you look at them, bro, you could just tell that this is not a good person. This person has a lot of bad things inside them. And he was one of those. Every time he used to come up on archaeology channels and I'm watching anything Egyptian based, I was like, I don't trust this guy, man. This guy's up to no most of the time.
Yeah. You were talking about these
And the satellite imagery.
satellite
yes.
imagery of like scanning things. There was a
Exactly.
thing. I
What?
can.
Tell me.
I'm typing in satellite scanning of the Amazon for.
Oh, the Maya.
No, they have this.
They're finding more and more ancient civilizations as they scan the
Yeah.
Amazon and they go deep.
Yeah,
Correct?
and
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm saying. The technology, it's the tech that we've got now.
what is this?
I think it's LiDAR. Try writing LiDAR. LiDAR,
LiDAR.
Amazon
Yeah,
scan.
yeah. That's the one. Yeah, you're right.
LiDAR, Amazon, ancient civilization. I think it should come out that way.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There's the mapping.
Hey, thank you for the
amazing.
follow.
That's incredible. Huh?
Thank you very much. No, somebody follow. I'm just saying thank you. I'm so93. Thank you for the follow. And yeah, no, like what happens is you have these
Man,
massive civilizations like Mayans and by the way, have you seen the Apocalypto?
Oh
There's a
yeah,
movie,
that's a
yeah.
good movie, man.
Yeah, like I
Number
recommend
one
to anyone if you haven't seen it.
movies.
Mel Gibson directed it. It's really good. So
It's a great movie.
these like there are cultures who evolve to to that level, and they all of a sudden they just disappear for no trace of them. Like they really go at it for like hundreds or thousands of years, and in a matter of like 50 to 100 years they just disappear out, like completely gone.
Do you know what I think? Unless it's a natural disaster, or some sort of like pandemic like we're going through at the moment, I think civilizations, when they get to that height, they implode. You know, they destroy themselves. Because if you think about it, look at the journey of any civilization. If you go through it, it starts off very, very basic, nomadic, next to a river. Then some guy has an idea how he wants to unite all of these tribes. They go through that, they develop a nation. The nation goes and occupies everywhere else and invades everything else, and it causes all this havoc, all this ravaging, all of this crazy stuff that takes place.
Yeah.
And then they get to the peak. They get to the peak of their civilization, maybe 150, 200 years in, and then they'll start dipping after that. And that's all because of the internal politics. When you get to the point where you're so big and so many departments have to be controlled, if you just want to use the analogy, and so many departments have to be controlled in an aspect where, you know, so many countries are having to be looked after in this civilization or this empire, everyone's going to start having their own ego regarding of their own self-interest and what they think is best for their area or their constituency, if you want to call it that. And when you start going down that direction, man, it becomes a selfish, egotistical game between people who can get one over the other. It stops becoming about developing and evolving as a whatever it is, empire, civilization, humanity, race, whatever it is. And then you see the eventual decline of it. I mean, America, the United States is a great example of that. The United States for a long while has been building up this whole, you know, power. And now it is a superpower. It's the biggest superpower in the world. Well, closely matched by other countries, if we want to just determine it's the size of its navy or army. But if we go down the direction where what's happening at the moment, it looks like it's in a decline.
Yeah.
You know, the only reason it's still standing is because of, one, their population and the amount of people that are innovative in that country, because they've allowed the foundation for people to be innovative and evolve in that sense. But in other ways, it's a declining country, man. Like its economy
there
is
is
on a
a
decline.
well, not just the US, I would say, you know.
And that's what I think anyway. My personal opinion. Sorry, my personal opinion is it starts dipping regardless.
No, I think like it goes through cycles. And look, let's go a few hundred years ago. Like let's think about today. Baghdad. You think about this place that, you know, Muslim country, had a dictator ruling them forever. And then ISIS came, or ISIL, whatever you want to call those buggers. So they came, they tore everything apart, and because it was rife with terrorists already, etc. Apparently, and then
it was a shit show.
Yeah, so Baghdad, like a few hundred years ago, was the cradle of science, of civilization, of science, of almost everything. Not just Baghdad, like, you know, if starting from Baghdad, if you go to the right, so Baghdad, Iran, Central Asia, like all the way to Southeast China, or Southeast Asia, really, that part of the world was the biggest, like, you know, globally changing science that was happening was that in that part of the world. When Europe, when a lot of the places of the like first world countries that we know of today, they still lived in caves, and like, you know, in Scandinavia and you know, or like northern side of Scotland, like people were still, you know, barbaric. Again, that word is used easily, but you know, barbarians were more civilized than people think, and for some reason they using anyway.
Exactly.
Look it up. Look it up.
It's just a modern term to give a barbarian.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so they and then there was a cycle, and you know, a lot of things happened. Mainly, I think, religion, and then the whole thing just collapsed. Like medicine, you know, archaeology, astrology, astronomy, all of that. Like physicists, or like, you know, like we discussed last time, the algebra and all these names have actually, you know, roots in Middle East or Central Asia, and then the whole thing just, you know, collapsed, you know, partially to do with people themselves, and then Western Europe took the ideas, the good things, and then became what they are now. I mean, a lot of problems came from religion, I think, in my opinion, because it suppressed a lot of, like,
it's internal bickering.
Well, internal bickering would, like, if it was the core cause, it would always exist. I think what happened was a sway of people who came from different, like, look, when Arabs came to my country, first thing they did was burn libraries. And you know that works because all the dictators, or even Hitler and everything, what they do is they destroy the culture. When you destroy the culture, when you destroy the identity, then people will start, you know, following you. And
well, that's
you know,
what happened as well with the Mongolian Empire when they started going west. You know, they were just destroying anything that had any existence of any other civilization before.
Yeah, exactly. So
you know, they burnt a lot of libraries down.
Yeah, and then, you know, Arabs came and said, you're not allowed to study this, you're not allowed to do this, that, and even after all that, we still kind of when I say we, like people, then they still went for it and researched, even though their life was in danger. And then it still had a massive effect, and it kind of gradually dropped out. And then Western Europe, they start getting all the good ideas, and then they had freedom one way or another, and to develop all these things, and then they just shot out, like literally just went ballistic when these countries stayed the same. And I think now you can see that
the Renaissance took place in Europe, right? It was after the Dark Ages. It was it was after the Crusades. The Crusades played a huge part in how much the West learned about Eastern philosophies and Eastern culture and Eastern traditions. Because don't forget, you know, yes, they were in the Arabic worlds, but at the same time, a lot of that stuff has come from, like we said, Babylon, Sumeria. It's come from Persia, exactly. It's come from China, come from India. There's a lot of Eastern cultures that have moved in that direction to get to where they were at the time. And yes, of course, the Arabs played a part in their own evolution. But when the West finally got hold of the Crusades and they came back and they brought all of this information back with them, they started moving in a completely different direction. And I think since then, it was mostly Central Europe that was, you know, starting to dictate. And it still is Central Europe that dictates a lot of the countries in the world in terms of the occupation and their empires and whatnot. I mean, look how many countries you've got that speak English, that speak French, that speak Spanish. You know?
Yeah, and by the way, when I say Arabs, there's a difference between Arabs in, you know, where you came from, and then, you know, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. You know, there's a big difference when you know, with those people. Let me just get rid of this chat. It's covering my face.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Do you know that?
Oh, you've got the chat on your face. I just noticed.
Because it builds up, but it builds up. I need to
Chat.
fix that actually. You know, I need to make it so that it disappears after a while.
Oh, okay, yeah, it just keeps rolling.
Yeah. So just add on what you were saying is that there's and I was going to basically conclude saying that there is a cycle. So now Western Europe is reaching its limit of where people actually starting to dislike the government and start calling them establishments and stuff like that, and they actually started to genuinely believe, and that's when you have the left and right constantly fighting each other. And basically that's what happened in our countries as well, is that the right religious people were fighting with people who wanted to advance and stuff like that, and a constant battling and fighting, and then kind of whole thing collapsed. And that's always what you're seeing there. And the third world, slightly gradually, some countries have improved a lot more than the rest, but you can start seeing that China, how fast it came back, or Malaysia.
Well, China,
or
I think in the 1980s, there's this stupid statistic that I read once. I'll try and find it. But in China in the 1980s, imagine, I think they could calculate how many cars there was. There was about 150,000 cars for, I don't know, I think it was like 500 million people at the time or something. I don't know what it was. It was something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Today, in that space since the 1980s, yeah, from 150,000 cars to being one of the biggest producers of manufacturing anywhere in the world, and at the same time they've got close enough to almost 250 million cars now in the country, 300 million close to. Traffic jam in China apparently, yeah, some of it is so bad, I think some guy waited like it would take a week for it to clear. You won't wait a week in the traffic jam, of course, but but it took a week, or I think it was 14 days for that traffic to clear.
Yeah, I mean, it cleared gradually. Obviously, people who came into the traffic left at some point, but the jam itself didn't clear. The bottleneck didn't clear. Yeah. But
Exactly,
but back to conspiracy theories. Like, I read or saw something that there are more cars made than people on Earth. Like, there's more cars in factories that have already been built and they're rotting.
Oh yeah, I won't be surprised, man.
Than people. They similar to diamonds. They're keeping the supply low to keep the artificial price up for the cars. So if they would sell all these cars, then it would obviously the supply would be more than the demand, and then the price will shoot down. So they're not gonna have their bonus and all that. Yeah, exactly.
A broken bubble, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can buy a car, cheaper than a bike, for example. Yeah,
Oh, would that not be so nice? Oh my.
Yeah,
days.
I know, right? Well, no, actually, I don't think that would be nice for the planet. When everyone can buy
if they're
like
electric, they can be. If they're electric, they can be,
yeah.
all right.
Well,
but
even
still,
then,
I mean,
even then, I mean, look, like, this whole thing when it started. Now it's much better. For example, the paper straws, So when it started, everyone were complaining, and there was so shit in it anyway. But then when it started, they were like, "Oh yeah, but it's so shit. You put in your drink, it like disintegrates like in about 5 seconds. I have to use it because I want to help the environment." But apparently, I did a bit of research. Like,
don't tell me it has a reverse effect.
No, it did. At the beginning, it did. So the paper straws, paper caps, all of those recyclable things that when it boomed at the beginning, I think it was like what 3 years ago, when everyone was mandatory, like it was so taboo to drink out of a plastic cup and stuff like that. And they spend more energy and produced more greenhouse gases to produce those paper caps than they would do with a plastic one. So in essence, if you check the levels of pollution by producing one paper cap or a straw, they polluted more versus producing the plastic one.
So is that even possible?
Yeah, because it was a trend. It was massive supply demand. Everyone wanted them.
Oh my!
Everyone was
God,
suddenly conscious about planet, and everyone wanted them. So
didn't George Clooney get into trouble a few years back for that Nespresso advert?
I don't know.
Have you heard about this one?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, so basically, he came out. He was an advocate. He was an ambassador for Nespresso, he was all over their adverts, right?
Yeah.
It was just, you know the Nespresso, it's the machine and the changeable cartridges. You can
Yeah,
change
yeah,
them all
yeah,
the time.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Flavors. Yeah. So,
I even know the
he
advert
was-
that you're talking about. Yeah, but I don't know the conspiracy
Perfect,
behind
good.
it.
Good. Right. So now, yeah, basically what's happened with him is at one point somebody realized that these Nespresso cartridges were not recyclable. You can't do anything with them. They're just bad for the environment. And then they came out going, George Clooney, you're a piece of shit. How can you be promoting such things? You talk about Priuses and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And then, bro, the next thing you know, yeah, he's not on the adverts no more. The next advert
Oh,
that
that's
turned
true.
up, I didn't see him on it, the new Nespresso advert. I think he must have just cut his ties with them. He probably paid them back all the money they paid him to let him go.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no.
But now they're making recyclable cartridges, so I think he's back to do adverts with them again.
The worst thing was, with those plastic cups and straws and like Nescafe or whatever, producing them was one thing, and then after you use them, to recycle them, that was even more added pollution on top to recycle them as well. So they were basically destroying the planet by trying to help it. And but nowadays it's much better now. But yeah, yeah.
They have a little
So
bit of control over the situation.
yeah, I mean they have some control, and obviously they realize that people are not stupid and they can see the the pollution and all that. And yeah.
You know
So-
what? Speaking of this stuff, you know how like hand sanitizers became such a big thing at some point this year, yeah?
Well, I know a guy who was selling them, and you know the guy who was selling them as well when when the pandemic started. Like,
What an idiot!
we have
an idiot
a
guy.
really good friend of ours, right? So he's a really nice guy, but
Sorry, I'm putting this guy.
sorry.
You know what? I'm not gonna. We shouldn't name him, right? We
No,
should
no,
give
I'm not
a
naming him.
false-
No. I'm
Yeah, we
not
should give
naming
him a
him.
false name
Yeah.
or something. But this guy,
People who know will know
he-
it, but he's a really nice guy, but he's a sales guy, so he will try to, and he's a really good sales guy because he can take your watch and sell it back to you. So he was selling the hand sanitizers because we didn't know how long the pandemic was gonna last, right? So it was the first 2 weeks, and like people were going crazy about like
And the
hand
stock
sanitizers
went
and
up.
masks
The
and stuff
price.
like that. Yeah, and the price went up, and it was like, oh well, there's a good chance for me to like. At that time, nobody thought about the morality behind all that because it's a quick buck. Like fuck it, like why not make quick buck out of it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I should share that.
He was buying up so many, didn't he? I think he was going to Boots. He sent me to Boots at one point. He
He's
goes,
trying to
"Bro,
sell
can you
me
just-"
one for £20.
Yeah. So talking about the sanitizers, yeah. By the way, this guy we're talking about, no, I don't want to say the name. I don't want to say the name.
No,
I don't even
don't
want
say
to
the
discuss what. But actually, I'll say this one. Let's
It's
just say
fun,
he's a
man. He
very-
wouldn't mind. He wouldn't mind.
Yeah, he wouldn't mind. Let's just say he's such a good salesman, yeah. He bought fireworks tickets and sold them. He was out on fireworks night selling tickets to people to go watch the fireworks. That was last year before the pandemic, by the way. So he made his money before this year came around.
Yeah, no, I wish I could do that. To be honest, I can't do that.
Speaking on, well, he wanted to make his money back. He was desperate, man.
yeah.
He bought a lot of tickets. So basically, speaking about this whole hand sanitizer thing, I was watching. I watch these travel videos, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
on YouTube, and there's one of them. I think I forgot what the guy's name is, but his name is Carl something. He lives in India. He's got this whole Indian lifestyle. He loves the country. He's adopted the language, everything. I think he's from New Zealand.
Mhm.
And yesterday, I was watching one of his episodes, and he goes to this really expensive hotel where they have this food, and it's so flipping expensive. And then he goes, they don't know that he speaks Indian. He understands Hindi.
Okay.
So-
Oh,
as
don't
they
tell
gave
me that like people are talking like next to him in Hindi and didn't realize that he actually understands. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
His wife is also Indian, right? He's married to
Right.
an Indian woman.
Okay.
So she was just asking him, can you bring the hand sanitizer, blah, 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 because we need to use it. He goes, yeah, sure, no problem. So as he went inside, he goes, the lady asked about the hand sanitizer, like, which one shall I give her? He goes, we don't have any more of the. So they started hearing the waiters in the background talking, we don't have any more of the sanitizer. We haven't had any more of the proper real sanitizer in a long time.
Yeah.
So just give them some of the fake one that we've got right now. So they put out hand sanitizer thinking that, if you were any other customer, you'd think, okay, I've got hand sanitizer, it's fine, no problem. But they heard them. they were like, did you just hear what they said? They were like, yeah. He goes, all right. So they called one of the guys over. He goes, why did you like? Is this real? He goes, yes, it's real. It's real. He goes, no, I just heard you over there saying that you don't have any more hand sanitizer and this is fake. What is this made out of? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know. Ask the manager. She called the manager over, but they were trying to have a conversation with the manager, and they heard him, like, he was saying that tell them it's too expensive for us to buy it now since the pandemic happened. We can't afford it anymore. And then I was thinking, when they said that, I was thinking to myself, you know what? We should send that guy with the hand sanitizer at the beginning of the year to go sell stuff over there. Bro, he's so good at that. He's so good at that, man. Like, you know, he trades in plants as well, yeah? He buys
No, I know,
plants.
yeah. He actually grows
What
them
a
and
top
sells them.
guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah, he grows them.
that's a true calling for a salesman, man. Like, you sell everything that comes in and make a profit out of it. That's it. Yeah, like I said, like you talk to him, start chatting to him. You will ask the time, and then he will take your watch and then look at the time himself, and then give it back to you. He will sell it back to you, and then he will charge you for the time as well.
But you know what? I miss chilling with him, though, man. It's gonna be nice when things open up again. Hopefully, we can all catch up again.
Yeah,
See what
that
else he's
would be
gonna
nice.
selling.
Yeah. So
man, I've been doing the date. What are we saying? Are we getting ready to do the outro now, kind of thing? We're getting.
well,
close
we didn't
to it,
talk
I
about the
suppose.
flat earthers yet.
Oh, we haven't talked about the flat earthers. All right, cool. The flat earthers. I thought we covered them. Did we not cover? No, that was before we were talking about them.
Yeah.
Right, so the flat earthers.
We don't have. It doesn't have to be long.
We need to find this video because it was big. Let me see if I can find it. You talk.
Don't worry
go ahead. Let me
about
see if I
that.
can
Don't worry about that. That's fine, man. Let's just talk
You
about
sure?
this. Yeah. So somebody that my wife knows in her work, right? He doesn't work in her department, but when they go like canteen for lunch or whatever, they socialize with other departments. So this guy is like, she was saying, like, you know, he was talking to these guys, like he was so convinced that the flat, like she's saying that he doesn't look educated or whatever, like he just looks like a normal Joe from the street, but he works in a supermarket, but and not that, you know, people who work in a supermarket. My wife works in a supermarket, so she was saying that he was saying that, you know, like he was arguing with people that that Earth is flat and this and that, and like how can people like that exist? Like, I can't fathom in my head, like how can you say that? Like, have you been on a plane? Like, have you been on a plane? Have you ever traveled from Australia to US or from US to Europe, or, you know, do you know that travel actually exists? Or do you, when you actually go up on a high building and when you look at the horizon, you actually see the fucking curvature of the Earth? I mean, like,
you
this
know,
is crazy.
on that, I'll tell you the story. Yeah, I was going to show you the video, but I'll tell you the story. This woman, she comes on flat earther, right, against the scientists. So they have this little kind of debate. They bring on flat earthers who are heavily confident that there's a flat earth, and then you bring on the scientists who are very logical. They have a very reasonable way of explaining things. You understand it. It makes sense to a baby. Yeah. So there's this one lady that comes on, and she's debating with one of what they do is they ask the flat earthers, and they both separate them at the beginning of the video, and they go, if you believe 1, 3, 4, 5, step forward and put your point across. Yeah. So that's what they do. And there was one question that they proposed, and then she decided to step up and go one-on-one with the scientist. I'm dying, bro. She goes, so he goes to her, so what makes you think that the flat earth and whatever and all of this kind of stuff? She goes, I know because I have proof.
Oh, okay, let's hear the proof.
And this is exactly how we be evident.
Hold on. Can you say that again?
Okay.
You cut off. Yeah, can you say that again?
Okay.
Yeah. So she has the proof?
Okay, so she turns around and she goes to him, you know, I have the proof that you know, there's a flat earth. And he goes, okay, great, fantastic. So that, you know, let us know so we can all take part in this. If you have the evidence, then it makes the job a lot easier. He goes, what's your evidence? She goes, well, I don't really know if I should discuss it, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I think we all need to know this. He goes, yeah, fantastic. He goes, well, the reason I know it's a flat earth is because when I look out onto the horizon from my house, I can see it's flat.
No, that's the point, that you don't see that it's flat.
She goes, I can see it's flat and I can see so far away. She believed, bro, that's exactly what she said. She said, I could see it because from where I live, I can look out onto the horizon and it all looks flat. And I was like, what?
So what happens when you get to the edge of it? Do they just fall off?
Well, that's what. So when he goes, do you see ships in the horizon? Are you by a sea? She goes, yes. He goes, well, eventually, do you not see that? Do you not see the ship start dipping down where it disappears in the end? She goes, well, that's only because it gets smaller in the distance.
Yeah, it goes far enough, right? No, right. Let's okay. Hypothetically, let's just think that Earth is flat. So one problem I have with that is, so you have oceans, like you have like bodies of water. So if it's flat, then you would have to have something like a pan at the edge of Earth to keep the water inside, right? Otherwise, you would float down.
Oh, there's
right?
Yeah, we're like in a really big sea world, bro. Did you not know that?
No, I'm just thinking if it's flat, then it's not flat. It's a pan-shaped flat, Earth, not flat Earth. So by definition, it's incorrect. It's not flat. So if you mean flat, then again,
I mean, have you not seen Pirates of the Caribbean? They traveled all the way to the end of the earth.
I mean, come on, Game of Thrones. Have you seen Game of Thrones? I mean, sometimes it takes them a day to travel from across the world, and sometimes it takes them like 3 seasons. So
And then in the end, it turns out to be crap.
Yeah.
The journeys are all pointless.
Exactly.
No, yeah. So going back to the flat earther business, man. Look, I understand the theory that when you're looking at it from a particular point of view, I can see what that means. But
Oh man, you
what I
can't look
think-
at it from any point of view, man.
Hold on. I'm trying to be fair, right? I'm trying to be fair.
Okay.
Because if we're talking about both, if we're talking about something, we have to talk about both sides of the story, correct? So if you want to see it from their perspective, okay, cool. I understand. The theory makes sense in the way it's described. Okay, I understand it, but it's bullshit.
Okay.
I understand. If you were trying to explain to someone who doesn't know what anything about Earth is, and you try to explain to them what they're looking at, and you explain that theory, I can understand how it makes sense. But now, with everything that we've got, there's no way you can justify that we have a flat Earth. There's just no way you can justify it, especially when you see the images. People talk about, it's fake, it's been photoshopped. Look, a lot of shit gets photoshopped. But the reality is, it's hard to comprehend that something is not round when, like you said, you look at the horizon and you can see the form, you can see the shape in it.
No, but
You can see the way it just starts kind of...
no, it's the
that's
simple answer to that is gravity. If it's
Hmm.
flat, where is the
Yeah, but they
gravity
can-
going?
But if it's a flat Earth, it's not. But if they say it's a flat Earth as well, they can say there's gravity because otherwise we can float up.
No, okay,
sounds like
so
a
not
flat Earth
okay, fair enough. But then if there's gravity, then the edges should collapse to the center. Everything that has a
No,
gravity
it's-
has a center where everything goes to. So if it's flat, then the edges
flat
should collapse inside. You can't just say like, oh, but there's some magnets that are spread equally underneath to create magnetic field so that gravity stays. What?
Well, you know how the Earth is meant to be on an axis and it's spinning like this, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of just doing right. Well,
Yeah.
the flat Earthers believe it's just like there, right? But
Yeah.
they believe that it spins this way, so it's just flat.
Oh,
it's just
but
turning
they
around.
at least they believe that
So
it spins. Not the universe that spins. They stand still, but the
They
universe
still
spins.
believe there's a spin,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, it's the universe that spins. It's not us.
Yeah, I thought that's what they meant. Like everything moves, but not like people from like thousands of years ago. Like they thought that they were stationary and everything else moved because they could see the stars moving, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, when a lady tells
it's
me
like
I can see it's flat.
yeah, it's like explaining something to a 2-year-old. Trying to explain that. No, actually,
So,
everything is moving.
I'm guessing you're a round guy, yeah? You're a round theorist.
Nah, I'm more of a cubicle shaped guy, man. Yeah, I mean, God hit Earth a few times with a cricket bat and made it a cube. So, so yeah, there you go. You don't believe me? Oh, touche.
To start spinning it on top corners like a Rubik's cube. Imagine,
Yeah.
imagine that the new theory. Look what you've just started, man. Cubed Earth.
Imagine that the flat Earth actually started from one of these, like some guy on YouTube, whatever, trolled somebody, made somebody to believe it, and then it just spread around. It's like it's easy to get somebody like Alex Jones to believe in shit like that. So bring somebody like that with a massive following, tell him that Earth is flat, and like, oh my god, yes, Earth is flat, and then he tweets all to his thousands of followers, and then that's it, it's gone viral, and then some idiot from supermarket believes that.
I'm dying. Oh my god.
Anyway.
Yeah, bro. It was probably a troll that started this.
Yeah,
man.
I bet. Like the guy who probably started off is thinking like, I had no idea how much harm it would cause, which I hadn't.
He's like, I'm so far in now, I can't change it. I can't come out until hopefully logic sense will prevail.
Yeah. On that note, guys, thank you very much for joining. As usual, we are humbled, and please do keep up and follow us. I do stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So Monday and Wednesday, I do gaming, so variety of games. And Fridays we designate it as a podcast, so we discuss, as you see just now, few things, anything. And if you have any suggestions, please do. I'll put this video, oh god damn, I forgot to record it, but I'll get it from Twitch anyway. The quality will be slightly lower, but I can get it from Twitch. So so yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching, and do follow and like and do all that shebang on YouTube if you can. Kay, you want to say anything?
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining in again. Next week, same time, and the recording is going to be on YouTube. If you do want to spread the word and you want to share it with your friends and loved ones and family members and fellow humans and acquaintances and colleagues, whatever it may be, and everyone that joined in today and whoever subscribed as well to Lazar, thank you very much. I'm going to say have a lovely weekend, guys. See you next week. And from me, peace out and a big fat boom.
Cheers, guys.